Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule the Galaxy fans. It is Joe in the pilot seat of episode 179 of the Rule the Galaxy podcast. And, before I introduce all my regular co hosts, let's go through it, shall we? Always follow us at Rule the Galaxy SW on Twitter and Instagram. Follow us at Rule the Galaxy podcast on TikTok. Just Rule the Galaxy on Facebook and YouTube. And last but not least, I believe follow us. Go buy some gear like this cool hat I'm wearing at all caps, Rule the Galaxy, all one word. Go to Etsy.com, all caps, one word, Rule the Galaxy. Last but not least, if you want to email us, complain about how any of us look, act, or what we say, rulegalaxysw@gmail.com. Brent will be manning the post and be ready to answer your emails very quickly and get you a great response. But outside of that, it's chapter 179, Rule the Galaxy. We're on our way to 200. Let's see where we go after that, right? But I've got most of the regular crew back. I mean, most of the regular crew is here, so let's just whip it around the horn and see. We timed it out perfectly for DDoc to show up while the shtick was going on.
Yep.
Brent, I saw your hand go up. You start us.
Oh.
How you doing, Brent?
I just want to know if he's fresh off the Andor set because I feel like he was in this last episode.
Lonni?
I mean, as soon as I saw him, like I hadn't paid attention to him in the other episode of the other scenes of the episode, but as soon as I saw the elevator, I was like, DDoc, what are you doing?
Yep. It's always the ginger. I saw someone say online, it's why is it always the ginger in Star Wars? So if you guys ever see me in a Star Wars movie, don't trust my ass.
I like it. I think that's a possibility, DDoc.
Yep.
But shouldn't we trust him, though? Because he's working for the good guys.
That's true, actually.
Hey,
he was trying to get out.
I not to toot my own horn, but didn't I say that guy was the rebel spy last episode?
Come on, Alfie. I was ready to give you praise when I introduced you, and you just right there, you just crapped on my praise. Yes, you were right. Go ahead, Brent.
I know I ruined the introduction, so I'll go ahead and try to get this back on track because DDoc was in the last episode of Andor. 100% that was him. Cool. I'm glad to be on. Love to escape in the rule to the galaxy far, far away. I'm not sure if you have any news or notes, but my tabletop game just kind of grew a little bit. So I'll tease that because it might be one of the stories that we bring up. Other than that, let's get it rolling.
You got it. Alfie, how you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. As you can see behind me, we're getting in the Christmas spirit here early at the Molineros.
Yeah.
I got found out, though, getting the stuff down. I tried to sneak up that secret stash of Star Wars figures, and I got caught.
Yeah. That little one of yours, man, she is a pistol.
Yeah, she's something else. I'm really excited for her to see what's in the box. But I don't know. Maybe this weekend. We'll see.
Okay. Well, I will wait with bated breath, waiting to see the reaction video if she finds out.
It's pretty big. It's pretty big.
It's not another brother or sister, is it?
No. No, it's Star Wars related.
Okay.
And it was actually funny because, like I said in our text, Robin was giving me crap about the Star Wars figures. And I come down out of the attic, after getting the Christmas stuff down. I said, did you just order something from Amazon?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she doesn't have a whole lot of room to talk.
Is it what you posted? Is it the Millennium Falcon? The tent or
no,
the
No. You posted that.
I did? Okay.
Yeah, you sent it to me.
Yeah, see, I spend way too much time on my phone. Anyway.
It's bigger than that.
Okay. Wow. All right. It's not another land speeder. She's already got one land speeder.
Yeah. No land speeder.
Okay. And okay, so to go back to it, yes, you were right. I actually have on my notes, Alfie was right. It was right there, bold letters. Lonni didn't turn, was playing both sides. You called it. And now I'm sure you've got it somewhere where we all don't read because we don't want to know all the insight, but you definitely called it. So good job on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. DDoc, besides playing in the most recent Andor episode, what have you been up to?
I'm doing good. I was able to settle down from the World Series. I was listening back on I was listening back on last episode, and honestly, I was so overwhelmed that night. I was re-listening to that, just like, man, I made some good points on this podcast because I don't even really remember saying some of this stuff because I was just so wired. So able to settle down, able to kind of focus on real life and all that fun stuff again, and it was a fun run. It was going to end either that day or the day after, and now I can focus on Star Wars and the podcast and all this fun stuff. So I'm in a happy place right now, actually.
Good.
For the circumstances. So I'm excited to talk some Andor.
What happens when the Eagles lose their first game? Will it go another depression?
Listen, I don't know. I feel like I'm just being set up for some kind of twisted joke this year. Honestly,
you want them to lose.
It's too good to be true at this point. Is what you're feeling?
Yeah, and your team just keeps winning, and you're just like, God, I don't want our first bad game to be in the playoffs. Like that's just crossed my mind now. But I'm just going to enjoy this ride.
Fan, you do not want that to happen. You don't want to roll into the playoffs 15-1, and that one loss being your last game where the fourth string played, and you get the bye week, and then you just lay a turd against the Steelers or the Patriots.
Yeah. Well, the fortunate thing is we don't have to worry about the Steelers making the playoffs for a long time, so we don't have to talk about that.
Nor the Colts.
Or the Colts.
You never know, man. You can be in the middle of a rebuild, and then next thing you know.
Hey, but I do want you guys to know that the Falcons are fighting for the division lead with a 4-5 record. They are fighting for the division lead with a 4-5 record. Just keep that in mind.
It's all good in the hood, brother. They you know what? That give them something to cheer for in that new stadium down there. Yeah, but you know what? I do have tickets. Lori, Joey, Maddie, Greg, we're all going to the Steelers Colts game. So that'll be fun. We were, because of the Italy trip this year, we didn't really make the big trek out to Pittsburgh to watch a game. So fortunately they're coming to Indy, and you know what? It's like we've talked about before in Star Wars. I'll relate it back to that. We're all fans of Star Wars. If it sucks, we're still fans of it. We still want it to be successful. It's the same way I am with the Steelers. If they're going to suck this year, that's okay. I'm still a fan. I hope they get better, and we'll cross our fingers. So, yeah. But what DDoc, with us talking about you being in Andor. I tell you what, I know you guys got to listen. Alfie got to be a part of it a little bit with Jack Harvey recently. Jack was a great guy, and I tell you what, looks like a movie star. I mean, literally, Jack looks like a movie star. He's got the British, he's from Great Britain, so he's got that accent going on. I wasn't kidding when I asked him. I was like, if they came and asked you if you want to be in, you should be in. I mean, he should play something, just a bit role even, because he's such a big Star Wars fan. If they let him wear the Star Wars helmet, they got to let him come on and do a little bit role somewhere. Go ahead, DDoc.
Yeah, I totally agree. I listened to the audio, but I also did check in on some of the YouTube when you said that during the episode. You were asking him, who he would play or whatever. But man, shout out to him. He's fun. He's always throwing us likes on TikTok and all that stuff. He follows us from this podcast. Such a down-to-earth guy, and it's hard to believe that he hops in that car and drives as fast as he freaking does. He was a cool guy to listen to. So shout out to him if he's listening to this.
I agree. And to think, it wasn't until I sat down and got ready to talk to him that I really started thinking about, is driving 200 plus miles per hour with all those cars around you that fast, all that. I mean, in episode 1, they tell him, you have to have special reflexes and stuff to be able to drive or pod race. And you got to think there's only a select few people that probably can do what these guys do. We all probably would like to or try it out, but that's kind of crazy to be going 200 plus, going into the turns, all these cars around you. So, you know what? Is it close to pod racing? I'm going to say it probably is, but yeah, it was really cool. We really thank Jack for being on there. And then we had a really great show with Nick following up right there. It's been a while since we've talked to Nick, and it was great to have him back on the next episode. A lot of fun. So, but we've been talking a lot of Andor. is there anything you guys want to hit before we jump in to what was that, episode 10 of Andor right there? Is there any other topics? I know, Brent, we talked about there's some additions and some new things going on with the gaming world. Do you want to hit any of that, or Alfie or DDoc? Any topics you want to hit? Go ahead, Brent.
So there has an announcement. So I played the tabletop game called Legion. It's made by a company called Atomic Mass Games. They started by making a Marvel Crisis Protocol, and one of my game friends gave me the starter set of miniatures for Marvel Crisis Protocol. So it's at a different scale. It's a little bit different game. And just yesterday, yeah, I think it was just yesterday, Atomic Mass Games put out a press release that at Gen Con this coming year, they are going to demo a new Star Wars tabletop miniature game. The scale is different from my game based upon the way that the pictures were taken. The game mechanics are probably going to be a little bit different, but they're releasing it in 2023. The title of the game is reminiscent of our friend Mace Windu and his Jedi power and ability. Shatterpoint is the name of the game. They showed miniature models that are different from what we've seen in Legion. Some are the same, some are different. They showed a Ventress. They showed Maul, the Commandos. Those are all there. Maul and the Commandos are in there. But there was a Luminara that they showed as far as like a model to be played in the game. There was a Rex. I think there was an Anakin. There was an Obi-Wan on the light side. But so it's the small skirmish squad based game. My game can take about 2.5 to 3 hours to play a full game, whereas I think this game will probably be designed to be played in an hour, kind of board game ish. But yeah, so it's a lot of unknown. The Doomsdayers, who are hardcore Legion people, think that this spells doom for Legion. Other people in the gaming world think that there's a marketplace for both. They think it spells doom because this is the same manufacturer and developer, but they're now going to split time on the two games. So there's not going to be enough time to devote to both of them. And it's a relatively small company. Atomic Mass Games is very small compared to other different board game manufacturing companies. So they're just worried that there's not going to be enough development time put to Legion if they're developing this game at the same time. I don't know, all of that stuff, doom and gloom, but it's a new game for Star Wars, and you're gonna have new things to paint up.
You know what? If I could concentrate like you could, Brent, I would play Legion. I really love watching Legion. I love taking pictures of Legion. I like watching other people play, but I've got the attention span of a flea, so for me to play it, it doesn't do as well. Maybe this shortened version, I don't know. Maybe it works better for a short attention span guy like me, but still, I think it's really cool what you already do with all the painting and all the work for it. So, you know what? I'll try it out once you get it because I know you'll get it, and we'll see how it goes. So
I don't know if I'll get it because I'm getting poor these days. But I'm also wearing. I'm gonna shout out to my gaming crew. I'm wearing my jersey from the we call ourselves the Indianapolis Garrison, and so they put out a podcast, Garrison Talks.
Yep.
Garrison Talks. We've had him on one time. Life has gotten in the way, and I haven't had him back on to have a follow up conversation to try to boost the signal from here. But if you guys, I believe we're on Spotify. It's about the only place that they've hit up. They're not on the Apple, but if you get your podcast from Spotify, you can check out the Garrison Talks. If you're into the Star Wars Legion, they always have some interesting conversation about the game, and then they always do some like what if and like pie in the sky type questions to like what job or what role would you have, those types of things.
Okay, good. DDoc, on another topic, were you the one that threw it out today about the anime stuff that's going? I don't. Again, first anime I really watched was Star Wars Visions, right? So I don't know a lot on it. So if you've got some more depth and detail on this, send it our way. What do you got?
Yeah, Studio Ghibli. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced that way. Studio Ghibli, Ghibli. Yeah. They are extremely popular, one of the most popular anime studios that exists, basically. I mean, they have a classic animation artist over there who I don't know his name. Any fan of it would probably be annoyed for me not knowing his name, because it's really one of those studios that has a hardcore fan base. You know, like if you've ever been to a Barnes and Noble and seen some of their model sections, you probably have seen My Neighbor Totoro from that movie. You know, it's like big guy with the umbrella and the little girl standing next to him, big fur ball with the umbrella. You would probably know it if you saw it. It's extremely popular. So the fact that you have this studio teasing that the way they did today, they make incredible movies. If you haven't seen any anime, I was talking to you guys about Princess Mononoke today, which to me, Ahsoka's first episode of Mandalorian is completely ripped from that movie. And I think Dave Filoni even said it, because when I watched it, I'm just like, this is exactly like that movie. There was a town where there was a girl going to attack the town. They had a bell that they would ring every time she was coming to attack. It was like shot for shot the same thing. So yeah, they're a very popular studio, and honestly, if they're teaming up with Lucasfilm, hopefully it's Star Wars. I mean, it is. They did show Lucasfilm. They didn't show Star Wars.
Okay.
So you know, it could technically be another offshoot, but to me, that's really big news. And if they're making a movie, we're in for something. We're in for something good.
Okay. Gotcha. Alfie or Brent, you guys either one have any insight on that? The new
No,
anime stuff?
anime is so far from my world. However, Visions is coming out, right? Like Visions
Vision 2, yeah.
2.0. Does anybody know when that actually is going to drop? Visions 2.0. They haven't said anything. Alfie, what
Alfie.
you got?
I've read quite a few things today that this may be associated with the Grogu short that's coming out soon, the next few weeks.
Really?
Yes, but nothing else has really been said about it, and that's just speculation. There's nothing concrete about that. Everything the time difference, probably won't find anything else out till about 5 o'clock tomorrow. But it is. I did read too that Kathleen Kennedy and Filoni were in Japan as recently as 3 days ago. So there could be more to it.
Yes.
Wow.
And if you've ever seen the movie Ponyo, Liam Neeson voices one of the main characters in that movie.
Right.
So,
and it was retweeted by the official Star Wars account. So seems like there's something solid there.
Smoke and fire. Okay.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Well, you know what? This one is one I'll sit back and wait and let you guys fill me in on, because it's not in my wheelhouse. So that's cool. It's hey, more things to draw people to Star Wars, the better. No matter what avenue it is, games, anime. Let's go. Let's see. They might bring them to some other part of Star Wars. Speaking of other parts of Star Wars, I've let myself get a little bit away from the comics over the past few years, and I wish I wouldn't, because it looks like there's some good storylines going on there. But I saw in the Star Wars Hidden Empire comic series, looks like the #1 coming out of that one is going to be Miss Qi'ra from the Solo movie, having a little run-in with the Emperor, is what I was seeing. Is that correct? Does anybody else see that?
Yes, her whole the previous run was lead up to something to do with Darth Vader. It's escaping me but yeah, they were going after the Empire.
And wasn't that was like the Battle of the Bounty Hunters, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
The where they had Crimson Dawn and others all battling. Okay. So now she's throwing down and saying we're going to take basically the Bounty Hunters Guild, or the group that's doing this kind of underworld kind of stuff, and see if they can battle against the Empire with it. Is that what I'm reading? She no longer
Kinda
has
looks that way.
Han. She had Han for a short period, if I'm not mistaken, in some comic, correct? Like right
In
before,
Carbonite, yes.
yeah, right before your
Mhm.
Jedi, something like that. So this is taking place during the original trilogy, Alfie.
Yes.
So right now that happens. So we're like almost to Return of the Jedi stage.
Yeah,
with
because
this
I think
comic.
when in that run when she has Han, Luke, and everyone else is there too.
Okay. Good. Well, that's a little story right there. DDoc, go ahead.
Yeah, and then the other bit of news, I don't know if you were going to say it or not, but is there seems to be a lot of smoke around the director of the Deadpool movies being chosen to direct the Star Wars movie. And there was also another director who came out and it was said that he is no longer the director of a Star Wars movie, which I didn't even know about this one. Alfie, do you know his name? Who said, he said it wasn't for a
J.D.
lack of,
Dillard.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He said it wasn't for a lack of trying on my part,
Right.
that was one I didn't even know about. What is he directed before?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can look it up here, but yeah, that goes back to was announced in like 2020.
Yeah. He was
So
a
2
young
years
up and
ago.
coming guy, right?
Yeah.
That everybody's like, let's put him in here. And
Devotion.
okay.
I don't know.
And the new guy from Deadpool, I forget his name.
John Levy.
There we go. Yeah. So I did see some news about that. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I somewhat have a man crush on Ryan Reynolds, and Deadpool is one of those movies that I kind of dig. So if
Yeah.
we can get some action, like that, I'm okay with it. And if it means he draws Ryan Reynolds into the Star Wars universe, I know some people will balk at that, but who the hell cares, right? Everybody's in a Marvel movie. Somebody needs to be in a Star Wars movie every now and then.
Yeah.
So
I got to make one first, though.
That's what I honestly think, though, because he's one of those directors where it's like he's worked with Ryan Reynolds a lot. Like he did that Netflix film where it was the younger version of Ryan Reynolds and himself. Like they've done a lot of work together. So who knows? Maybe we'll see Ryan Reynolds in a galaxy far, far away.
Well, I'm okay with it. I've got a movie script ready and waiting to go for Ryan Reynolds. If he wants to do a movie, I've got one. I've got it lined up. I've written out all the notes. All he's got to do is call me. I've got one. He'd make even more millions of dollars. So it's just right here. Show's head. Brent, you were going to say something.
Oh, I mean, I was going to take it in a different direction because you guys are talking the Star Wars news. I wasn't going to follow up with all of
go
these
ahead.
directors. I was pointing to what Alfie said because he said they got to make one first. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like I will second that and be another voice to parrot that. Like I feel like a broken record because I'm the one that says it all the time. I said 3,000 projects. I don't know how many projects there are that are talked about in Hollywood, and only a fraction of those, the top 1% of those, actually see
Name
the
a
light
Marvel
of.
one that didn't get made.
I knew you were going to
He's
say that.
gonna
I
do it.
know you're going to say that. I can guarantee you that there are projects that are still not that are sitting on the shelves with Marvel's name on them.
Do you
They're
guys put
making She-Hulk.
a movie?
Yeah.
She-Hulk.
Not
The
a movie.
series.
It's TV. It's already out. It was a great series. My daughter,
Right.
the one
I'm
thing
saying
that my daughter
they
liked.
can develop any character into a film or series and get it made. Star Wars couldn't make a Boba Fett series. Star Wars couldn't make a Kenobi series.
Well, if you ask the Marvel fans, I don't think they felt about the same way as the Star Wars fans did
Star
about Boba
Wars
Fett and Obi-Wan.
Took almost as long as James Cameron did to make Avatar, and they got 6 episodes of Kenobi.
That is correct, 100%. And what I'm saying to you is, there are so many projects in Hollywood that are talked about and discussed that never see the light of day. I can guarantee you that you could probably walk into Feige's office and he doesn't talk about it, but there's probably 25 scripts that are sitting there that aren't seeing the light of the day. There's an idea for them, but they're sitting there. Just because you don't hear about them doesn't mean that they're not happening and they're not being made.
I will agree with you on that point, except for the fact that Marvel is now on to phase 5 of their movies, and Star Wars is still can't get out of the gate of phase 1.
So there are two things about movies that I've learned recently, and they were from a movie and from documentaries. And I'm going along with Brent's idea of thousands of things sitting there, right? One, how many of you guys have seen the movie Argo?
Yeah.
I think it's a fabulous movie. I'd watch it anytime it comes on TV. And Star Wars connections in it, which is fabulous, makes the movie even better. But they go to a movie house, and in that movie house, they start picking through movies that have been pitched to people that are in a pile, and you have to pay someone to grab it out of that pile to be able to go make it. And so I will agree with you on that, Brent. That's out there. That's still going on. Two, the movies that made us, the documentary show that's on, almost every single one of these movies that's fabulous, great, that has changed people's lives, they said, oh, this movie was canceled how many times? They had a different star on it how many times? You had to bring in a fourth director to make it even happen, right? So I get it. I will 100% agree with you that that is out there, that there's 30,000 of those in a pile waiting to be made. It's not like every day somebody comes in, fresh script, here we go, next one. That's not that way. It's not how it works. So
That's all fine and dandy because that is true. But we're talking Star Wars that Disney paid $4 billion for.
And they paid $7 for Marvel.
Right. And they're getting a return on their investment in Marvel.
Because it was a better product. They paid more for it because it was a better product and because they had the phases in store. I'm sorry, like
right,
I'm a Star Wars
they went
fan.
with someone who said, why throw the baby out with the bathwater? Said, we already got everything established. Let's just build on that. Sure, you can tweak it if you want. We can make some changes, but we have a basic outline. With Star Wars, you said, no, we don't want any of those stories. And now you're so lost on what to do, you went back to those stories to finish your trilogy.
Because as much
you
as
come up with an original idea.
As much as Star Wars fans want there to be more George Lucas stuff, there was not any new George Lucas stuff. There were things that he put together to try to get the sale from 3 billion to 4 billion. There wasn't anything in the hopper. They bought Marvel with 10 movies still to be made and waiting to be made.
Right.
That's why they bought it, because it was already
off of comic books that were decades old.
Correct.
That's my point, is they didn't change the story that much from what had already been written. So it's easy when you have 300 issues of Iron Man to come up with an Iron Man movie.
And I'm not saying that they couldn't continue with the EU and bring the EU in, and I think that's where you're going with that. But they wanted to make their own Star Wars,
right? And it's really hard, and it's very difficult to do. And now we've seen with failed project after failed project how hard it actually is.
I don't see any of them. I don't see them as failed projects. Like I don't see them as failed projects. Maybe some Star Wars fans do because it's not what they thought it was supposed to be. I'm still watching it. I like them. There we go.
Okay, DDoc. Come on, Lonnie, let's go.
Yeah, I was going to say, while we're on the topic of return of investment, we have not brought up our favorite place to go on here recently, the Star Wars cruiser, the Galactic Starcruiser, you know, the four, what is it, $5,000 vacation for 4 people or whatever it is. They're trying to give away rooms to content creators again to try to get the word out there of how great it is and everything. And yeah, Alfie said you can book a room like a week away.
The day that article came out, I got online and I could book a room for the following day.
Why is anyone shocked at this?
Nobody is.
Right. Like, I think I even heard, and I don't know if I was down there or if I heard it from somebody else, that the bus drivers who are driving the Disney buses said that they're out of their minds with that hotel.
Yeah, it was when I was there.
It was you, DDoc. Yeah, I knew I heard it from somebody. They're like, they're out of their minds trying to do something. Like, even the cast members, because the bus drivers are considered cast members, even Disney cast members down there are thinking that the company is out of their mind with it.
Guys, I'm going to stop on this, though, because here's the thing. As much as it sounds like we're happy or gloating or anything because a Star Wars movie is not getting made or the Galaxy's hotel, what is it called? Galactic Cruiser?
Yeah.
Because it's not filling up. We're not happy about that. I'm not happy about that.
No, I'm not happy at all.
Every
time I see one of these articles about another up and coming director that couldn't get something off the ground, that's something we will never get to see.
I want to go.
I'm not happy. I'm not surprised. Like, right? I'm not like gloating about it. I'm just not shocked because it cost way too freaking much. You priced out 2/3 of your fan base.
Do you know who's not creating a hotel at Disney right now?
Marvel.
Marvel. Yeah. Yeah. They're not
Yeah.
making a hotel down there.
But what did they do? They
Creating
made
an academy.
Academy with all of the relevant characters that kids went to see.
Yes. And I did hear talks that the Rock and Roller Coaster will be turning into a Marvel themed roller coaster.
It's a Galaxy, the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Really? Is that the one? I saw there's a new.
Well,
I
they built that in Epcot. The Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster is a new one in Epcot.
Oh, I thought it was taking over the Rock and Roller Coaster in
Rock and Roller Coaster is still Rock and Roller Coaster. It's just they lost their contract with Aerosmith, so now it's just basic music. There's none of that Aerosmith studio stuff in the beginning.
I'm gonna say that Aerosmith lost the contract. I think Aerosmith probably was intoxicated one night, probably lit the wrong thing. It was a contract instead of something else. I'm just throwing it out there. These guys are 75 years old, and
yes.
And I don't know. So, and who's listening to Aerosmith today anyway? I'm listening to 70s and 80s Aerosmith, but yeah.
So thanks for bringing up the whole movie situation, because that's always a fun conversation for Alfie and I. But what I am going to go back to and try to flip it to is a conversation that y'all are going to want to talk about. And that is the StarWars.com Bring the Galaxy Home feature. I just went and checked it out. That is where they highlight some toys and they highlight different things. Some things are already out on the shelves and they're just bringing your attention to it. Some of them are new things that you can pre-order. Like they have a Vel Black Series. I don't know if you noticed that or if you saw that or if we talked about it. There's a Vel Black Series model that they're getting ready to promote. That was on a couple weeks ago. On the most recent one, DDoc, they have the Inquisitor ship with the Grand Inquisitor minifig, Reva, like the shark or the hammerhead shark-faced Inquisitor. 15th brother, 12th brother, third sister, whatever their names are. And it looked like Obi-Wan too, as far as minifigs in that come with that case. So I'm sure you know about that one. It looked like they were highlighting a Boba Fett, another old retro era vintage collection. Joe, they're highlighting the diff sunglasses. I think they're like stormtrooper based, not quite 70s 70s PE teacher with the short coat shorts on type sunglasses, Andor porn stash ish sunglasses that you have, the X-Wing fighter pilots. But those are the certain things. So I draw your attention to the X-Wing, or not to the X-Wing, to Bring the Galaxy Home. It's a feature. They drop it every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometime in that nature, and highlight 5 or 6 different items that you can purchase. But DDoc, have you seen that Lego set?
Yeah, I actually saw it on the shelf this week when I was doing some Target scouting, even though I didn't buy anything. To be honest with you, there's not much hunting that needs to go on for me anymore. I go there and everything is on the shelves now.
Nice.
All the vintage figures, all the Black Series, all the Legos, except the freaking AT-AT, which is what I'm after. I don't know. I think it's just because that Mando figure is $40 freaking dollars for a Black Series figure. And I don't think anybody's going to pay $40 for it. I mean, everybody just knows to wait for that clearance shelf because they do go on clearance. So I don't know. People are playing the game with Hasbro now with these. Their prices were raised and people are not buying them like they were before, at least at my Target. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on.
I bought one.
What'd you get?
No, I bought that Mando.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great looking figure.
They only had one, so that's why I did buy it.
Yeah, I think I have probably like 12 on the shelf at my Target, which I was just like, can't believe it. But I don't know.
You posted that picture and there was like 2 pegs full of those Boba Fetts. I only found one at our Target.
Yeah, and I like that too. Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying it's quite a distance between your 2 targets. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love that vintage collection figure, but I think it's $21. I scanned it with my phone. I think it came up as like $20.99. And I'm like, ugh, like, I don't know.
Well, I love it that Brent is the one that brings up the stuff, starts you guys talking about Black Series figures. I think that's fabulous. Legos and Black Series brought up by Brent. That should be a new segment. Brent talks toys to see what we do.
Did I say anything about him? No, I was bringing up a topic
See?
for you
So I'm
guys to
saying.
talk about.
You open the door. It's like a
Yeah.
gateway drug.
It
It's
is.
like you crack that door, we're gonna blow it open.
First one's free.
DDoc,
Brent.
you brought up the fact that the difference between Marvel and Star Wars, and we have that argument about
Thank
every
you.
third time we have a podcast.
Because it's
Um,
awesome.
And I enjoy it. I was trying to find a fight bell, like from boxing where you ring the bell. I'm gonna start to ring that once you guys start to go back and forth. I'll just have it ready on my phone.
So I'm gonna drop one more because we really need to hit in Andor, but I'm gonna drop
It's all filler.
couple
Seriously,
a couple
I don't even think I've
things.
watched all the way through.
Oh my gosh! All right, well here we go. One, it's in the works, but Mr. Jimmy Mack from the Rebel Force Radio crew has let me know that he is more than open to come and hang on the Rule the Galaxy podcast. And I think everybody who's listened to Star Wars podcasts in any time in the past decade plus knows who Jimmy Mack is. He was kind enough, he and Jason Swank were nice enough to sit and take pictures with me at the ICCC in Nashville. And we had a long half an hour conversation, just the three of us. And he's been nothing but kind ever since then. And timing hasn't worked out. But Jimmy Mack has let me know as long as we can get things locked in with him, we will have him on the Rule the Galaxy podcast very soon. So if you're a Star Wars fan, a Rebel Force Radio fan, that is coming up very soon. I'll have more on that soon. Next week, Kevin Scott, the author from so many good Star Wars books, as well as the new High Republic books. He was Master and Apprentice, right? Is that right? Or Dooku Jedi Lost? I can't remember. I'm blanking. Anyway, Kevin Scott, Star Wars author, and Jackson fan as well. He will be on the podcast. Because he's in England, has to do it at a certain timing. And because Jessica is such a big High Republic fan, and it has to be in the morning, we're going to have Jessica do a one-on-one show with Kevin Scott.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and so she's going to do that, and I'm really excited for her to just send over the link so I can post that and everything. But that's coming next week, so we're really excited about that one. So lots of good things going on here. Really cool things. The last thing before we hit Andor, outside of those two announcements, was the announcement of the Acolyte cast. And honestly, guys, one, Leslie Headland's running it. We all know that. I've heard the name Amandla Stenberg, but I don't know anything about her. But I looked through the rest of the people, and I'm sure they're all in great current streaming shows, but I didn't know any of them. All I know is from what I'm reading, it's supposed to happen at the end of the High Republic, leading into the prequel trilogy, right? Sometime in between that. Does anybody have any more details now that the cast has been announced? I believe they're already getting together and starting doing some lines and looking at things and sets and things like that.
How deep you want to go?
Well, I mean, just when is it? Any more storyline bits? You can, as long as you're not giving away spoilers, I'm ready to hear a little bit about it.
Okay, somebody else talk then.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and like, what do you consider to be a spoiler?
I mean, don't tell me who's going to get killed, but I mean, it happens here. It's about this. You can tell me all that stuff. Is it about Jedi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's at the end of the High Republic. So we're looking, what, 50 years before the...
I think it was like 40, 50 years. And it sounds like it's... There's a lot of speculation that Plagueis is going to be in it. I never feel like I could say his name right. It's like Worcestershire sauce.
Plagueis.
Yeah, Plagueis.
So Yoda has a chance.
There's a weird L in there. I think so, but it could be.
Okay.
But I also thought Yoda was going to be in like the High Republic stuff. And
yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Brent, DDoc, any more news from you guys on the Acolyte?
It sounded like the idea was really close to that Knights of the Old Republic trailer that was released.
Okay.
As far as sisters separated, one becomes a Jedi, but not the other kind of thing.
Rock on. Okay.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be something different. I think we're going to see some different sets. I think we're going to see some different wardrobe, So, Andor is different. So I'm enjoying different. I'll take some different.
All right.
It's just a different take on the story, right? So we've seen pretty much everything's been presented from a light side point of view. I would love to see something presented from an Empire's point of view. You're getting some of it, but it still has that rebel point of view. Like you're getting more Empire in Andor, but it still has a rebel spin. It's not truly an Empire spin. So I'd like to see that, but like I'm curious to see a true Sith dark side spin, if that's what it's supposed to be, and looking at it straight on from that perspective.
I could handle that on Acolyte if that's the direction they want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you guys have been bringing it up, and you're right. Andor, let's talk about it. Chapter 10, episode 10 out of 12 in season 1. We get the prison break. We get there's no break in action, right? From episode 9 to episode 10, it goes boom boom right to the next one. We get they're going to break him out when the new man shows up. There's never enough guards. The plan starts coming together. All those things. But one of the things I really liked about this episode, I'll just throw it out there. We see the prison. We see Ferrix. We see Luthen on Coruscant. We see Imperial stuff going on. All these different things are coming together at one time in episode 10, with probably a banger 11 and 12 coming out very soon. With all this mix of all this stuff going on, there's a lot going on. But I will just say, looking at this, well, and I forgot, we even got Mon Mothma and Davos Skolden, which, man, with you guys loving Lord of the Rings and all those kind of things, to have them talking about a 14 and 13-year-old arranged marriage between two families, I'm sitting there going, I'm feeling those vibes, brother. I'm feeling those vibes. But I think this story hit me very well all the way, with action, intrigue, political, soap opera stuff, all at the same time. Plus, we got some people gun smoked, which you guys love. Kino is a huge. I mean, come on, we got him as Snoke, and he never really fulfilled the role that we wanted him to play. And here he is playing this role, and this dude is awesome as Kino. And look, I'll just jump right to it. The monologue by Kino and the monologue by Luthen were absolutely awesome. They got you pumped up. They got you into the show. And I'm not going to talk about the end until we get to the end, but this show hit me in all the feels, and I loved every part of it. What were your guys' thoughts? Anybody want to raise their hand and take off first on it? Good, bad, or indifferent thoughts on it, besides Alfie falling asleep?
Yeah, I'll go
DDoc.
real quick. I'm pretty much on the same page as you, Joe. I just thought it was really well made. I enjoyed that there was some plumbing in it. Little bit of plumbing behind those panels. The Empire.
Man.
There's stuff back there. I'd be the guy who was fixing those pipes. I'd be wearing, probably a crappier outfit than the rest of the Imperial officers, but I would have been a plumber there. So
You would have had the boots.
Yes, we got a lot of tools. I got 3 episodes of them building God knows what. We got some plumbing in this episode, water spill. I thought it was going to be hydraulics actually for the elevator when he was breaking that. That's what I thought it was the whole time. But like, not going into too much detail, I just freaking enjoyed it. It's pretty similar to how I've felt this entire series, but taken up another notch, just because these arcs to me are paying off. I've enjoyed the payoff of these arcs. It's not the best, craziest thing you've ever seen. It's not the last 45 minutes of Rogue One, but I really enjoy the story that they're telling and the characters that they're building for a guy who we know is going to die, in the future. I just enjoy the story they're telling so far. So I'm very happy after this episode.
Okay. Alfie, Brent, go ahead.
I thought 2 things, and they happen to do with your cousin Alfie. One, when Cassian gunsmoked the dude, I had to say, I said out loud, Alfie. I mean, it's just like gunsmoked, and then I said Alfie. Because, like, I mean, that one was a pure gunsmoking. Like, no question about it. And then second thing is, we found out why they're not wearing shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was all the preview. That was all that Alfie would say. Why aren't they wearing shoes? Why aren't they wearing shoes? So yeah, no, I enjoyed it. As you guys know, I like to see the world burn. I would have loved to see if they had the prison break another episode later, just because it would have drawn the people out and made the people crazy. But no, I enjoy it. I don't have. I mean, if we were gonna just talk overall feeling, I enjoyed it. Um, there's a couple details that I kind of want to get in and talk about, but I don't know what your plan
No,
is,
I have no
Joe.
plan. That's I'm going around the
But I'll
room.
let Alfie. I'll let Alfie start off with his feelings because I feel like he's gonna have a slight different take. I feel like this one was more like I understand where he's coming from, but I feel this one had more entertainment value than the previous episodes. I wouldn't say that it made up for the other episodes, like you said, like you're hoping it will. I don't think it made up for the non-entertainment, but I feel like this one definitely was more entertaining.
Up to you, Book.
I really enjoyed this episode. I did. It was entertaining. A lot of tension, a lot of drama. I liked seeing the plan come together. The only thing I just feel like it needed a little more in the action department. It needed to take it up another notch for as long as we've waited. I mean, this is 10 episodes and this is our big action, finale to this arc. And it's been like 3 hours since we've seen anything. It's just been people talking. Now, the one thing that I really did not like about this episode is that the prison break takes up almost the entire episode, which means we're going to get a snooze fest episode 11, setup after setup after setup. We got to get everybody back to Ferrex. Everybody's got to talk, and Mon Mothma's got to talk about this bank account. That's going to be her arc for this season, is setting up a rat hole bank account somewhere. Couldn't we have wrapped this up by now? But overall, I really liked it. Andy Serkis did an amazing job. That was the performance of that any actor wants to be known for. Finally seen people get gun smoked. How many episodes has it been? Like 3?
Yeah.
And I one little detail I really liked, because I think it ties into New Hope here. You notice that all the blasters in the Imperial prison were the rebels, not the E11s.
Yes.
That's the standard issue Imperials. So, is this going to be, could you assume that most of the rebels' weaponry was stolen from the Empire once they make a transition to the E11? Overall, really good episode. I think it was by far the best episode of this series so far, and hopefully it leads into a good finale.
Go ahead, Brent.
All right, so you say that his monologue, Kino's monologue, Andy Serkis's monologue, was really good, but I liked 2 things about it. One, he was talking into the comm unit that was the same comm unit that Han Solo talked into on the Death Star, which I thought was hysterical. And 2, I like the fact that Kino he was a reluctant leader, I think is the best way I'm going to say it. He didn't want to be in that position, but Cassian forced it out of him.
Cassian knew that the people would not rise up if it was him going over that speaker. He knew that through the ranks, people knew Kino, and Kino knew what they were all facing. He knew it had to come from him. He knew it had to come from him. And I think you're right. It wasn't like the speech was he was doing such a great job. It started off crappy. It got a little bit better. And then it built into him releasing all that anger, right?
Sure, he had to build up to that, but it's also he had to get challenged by Cassian. He's like, that's all you got? Give you have more in you, and I know you have more in you to get the prisoners to fight and rise up. So, Alfie, you were going to say something.
Kino knew how to escape the whole time, but he knew he could never escape. He can't swim.
Come
He
on,
knew from the
see?
get, once it started, that there was only one way out. He knew which way that was, and that he couldn't get out that way.
They did the overhead shot,
Mm-hmm.
and they show the people swimming from one spot. Were there people swimming from other spot? Because it looked like, so I'm gonna go like directional. So it looked like everybody was swimming northeast, but it
Right.
also looked like there were people swimming southwest.
I don't know.
Well, they're coming
I
up
didn't
from how
notice that.
many? 7 floors, right? All over the whole thing. And what they say, there was like 5,000 prisoners in there for like 100 and right at 100 or so guards. So they had to
84
be
guards
okay.
Well,
So
there's
they were
no
coming
more
in all
than
different
12.
directions.
There's no more than 12,
Yeah.
per
and that's
level.
12 per level.
Yeah.
Kino knew that.
Yeah. And I think one question we went into this show asking is, are we going to care about other characters in this show as much, knowing what Andor's end story is? And I mean, freaking major props to Diego Luna, you know, having these amazing scenes with Andy Serkis and, you know, the tension between the two of them. And as you guys said, you know, him egging him on, like, I just thought it was excellent acting between the two of them. And man, I wanted freaking Cassian to gunsmoke those two officers when they left the room. That was the gunsmoke I wanted.
I mean,
I was like,
seriously.
give me the gunsmoke. Screw them. You know, they're the ones who fried those guys. Pop, gunsmoke. Let's do it.
Right. I'm 100% with you, because you have just murdered two other people, one outside at the brothel. You murdered this one dude who was like on his knees on the catwalk as you're running out. And then you leave the two officers. Now, I'm not upset about them leaving the room with the guy with the Imperials hiding behind the door, which I also love that scene because it shows how much of a coward those guys were, right? So they can be all great and all powerful when they have control over you, but as soon as you lose that power, you're going to cower. And that was, I mean, that's kind of the impression that I got, and I love that impression. But I'm with you. Like, I'm upset that Cassian didn't gunsmoke both of those guys.
Because the one guy said it would take months to turn the generators back on. But what if he was lying?
I thought the same
And he just
thing.
turns it on as soon as they leave the room.
Yeah, exactly. Flip the switch, fried, you know? I don't know.
Well,
I should have been gunsmoked.
Do you care about other characters? The question was brought up. I was gunsmoked. When he said I can't swim, my jaw dropped and I was like, oh, come on. I'm like, Kino, come on. After all you've done, let's go, brother. Let somebody help the guy, right? I mean, it just that hit me. I was like, come. So, you know, I'm sitting here going, could he have made it? I mean, did somebody help him? Did he get out of there? Or is he the one who gets
people
fried?
swimming? I mean, he could follow what. I mean, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
As an adult to learn how to swim.
Depends on how long you had to swim.
He stays behind, and the Empire turns him into the voice of Snoke.
Oh, you went a different direction. He stays behind and he gives all the weapons to the rebels. So, like, he's in the facility. The rebels don't go back to the facility, and he gives all of the weapons from this facility. Because if there's no more than 12, they sure as hell had a lot of weapons.
Yeah, they did.
So, and
but they were freeing the levels as they went up.
True, they were taking the weapons as they were going, and I get that. But the other part, and this is, I might be wrong, and I probably am. I feel like there were more than one facility when they flew in, and like when they flew him. There were 7 different hexagons, or octagons, but that's just one hot octagon that was freed.
Right?
Am I correct? You're right. So there are others out there,
and they're coming. Somebody's coming.
Right. Is the Empire coming to try to wreak havoc to reclaim that one? Or is Cassian going to be able to get with Melshi back to somewhere to try to get picked up and bring the rebels to take and free the other ones?
No, they're toast. As soon as the Empire shows up, they're all dead.
I agree.
I have a question for you guys. It might have just been me, but you know, Cassian and Kino had that scene together where it was just the two of them before they went back into the cells. And you know, when he's again egging him on to, you know, let's get the plan going, let's get moving. We have to do this now. There might not be another day. Kind of like a one day more moment from Les Mis. But he did anyone else think that when he said no one's leaving, did you almost think that he was
Giving
up on the
Yeah.
plan?
for a
That
minute.
was
Yeah.
like a double-edged sword line. When he said no one's leaving, I'm just like, damn it, he's not going to go along with it. And then I realized, oh, he's telling them they don't have a chance to leave. Like, I again, great acting there, because I was like, no, he's gonna bail out on this plan, and they're gonna have to talk him into it for another day or something. But that was a great scene.
Okay, so let's go. We've hit the prison break thing, and I feel like, I mean, I thought that was a great part of the story. There were two other parts that really stood out to me. One, again, I'll go back to the possible Chandrillan arranged marriage by Dabo and Mon Mothma. Is this where she snaps? Is this where she goes all in because she has no choices? Is she willing to sell out her family to make the rebellion really happen? Because that's her choice. I mean, her husband, she's pretty much ready to get him anyway. It was an arranged marriage probably as well. It's stagnant. She doesn't really want any part of it. I think she's ready to dump him. But her daughter, who's been getting brainwashed by her husband for quite a while, is she willing to sell her out and have her get in an arranged marriage just so she can finance the Rebel Alliance? I mean, because that's what it's going to come down to. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Will she do that? When we see her in Return of the Jedi and in Rebels, has she already done those things?
So, two things. One, their interactions was very reminiscent of Game of Thrones. Like, there was a lot of double talk. There was a lot of like political posturing between the two of those in that meeting. Second, about the second point that I want to go is, I think at this point she also sees the writing on the wall that the husband and the daughter are against her, and as much as she doesn't want to do it, she knows that this is what's going to make it, the arranged marriage is going to be what makes it look the most accurate, so she can continue to keep the charade up. So I think that while she doesn't want to do it, she will go along with the arranged marriage to be able to get the money that she wants because she's worried about that, and then to be able to keep the facade and the charade going. So I think yes, she will
Okay.
sell out the daughter.
Alfie, DDoc?
I think she'll be bailed out by this massacre, and she'll just openly go to the rebellion.
Okay. You're thinking the
What is it? The Gorson?
the 50 people that we're going to talk about here in a second.
No. If you've been paying attention to the Senate scenes,
the people who are getting all their
Yeah.
food taken and all that. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I actually watched a guy who actually translated that entire scene, because there was a lot of, you know, political talk, as you said. And last night there was a guy, I wrote his name down, Screen Crush on YouTube. He actually literally, like, word for word, you know, they would say a line to each other, and he was like kind of putting it a bit more simpler for idiots like me. And he had the theory that Mon Mothma was married off to her husband the same way he's trying to have her daughter, you know, married
I would
off.
agree. I would agree. That's probably, yeah. She wants something different for her daughter, and she's now got to decide if she's got to put her through the same thing.
Yeah, because her face, right when he said that, her face, you know, again, great acting by the actress, you know,
Genevieve
her face
O'Reilly.
just changed in a second, you know. And
he read that too, because he is instantly, his next line is, "I'm not talking about a betrothment," which he kind of is, right? And then my favorite line from, I was actually hoping it was going to be Quinlan Voss or somebody else, like, that wasn't necessarily like bringing him in, like he has a different name on that plan on Syndrilla or something. I was hoping it was going to be something like that. But the last line when he left was also very telling too, which tells you that there's a lot of political posturing. When he looked at her and she's like, something, and his answer was, well, that's the first untrue thing you've said the entire time.
She said,
So,
I'll never
like,
do that. She said, I'll never do
Right.
that to my daughter or my family. Yeah. And that's where he
So-
turned. You're right.
Yeah.
Good
Crazy.
scene.
It was a very good scene. For all the people who think they maybe talk too much, I thought that was a really good scene. And speaking of
But
talking,
but
go
okay,
ahead.
but so it's yes, they say they talk too much, but a lot of that scene was between the lines. That was a lot of that scene was not talking. A lot of that scene was what was left out of the lines
It was
and what
reading,
they
yeah.
and what they were reading each other. Like, so yeah, I think it was great writing and acting to be able to build that tension, to build that intrigue with just simple lines back and forth, but at the same time you could tell that there was posturing and that they were reading each other and they were double talking.
Go ahead, Al.
Okay, so my HBO Max subscription is getting ready to run out. So I've been rewatching Game of Thrones. And I think where the show is missing, it's almost there with the dialogue.
Mhm.
But it's not quite there because Game of Thrones dialogue seems like action when they're talking. And this is almost there, but it's not quite yet. And that's where it gets kind of dull.
Mhm.
I hate that. I know it sounds like I harp on this series a lot. I think this series has a lot of potential, and it's showing what Star Wars could be, like at the next level. And I really think that, this is a good stepping stone for someone to come in and say, I can take this a little bit further, and I can make an Andor-like series 80%, but then I can kick in 20% of the fun of the Mandalorian. And I really just think that's what this series is missing, is some aspect of fun in it. It's really great. It's really great acting, great dialogue, great cinematography, great, set design. The costumes are great. Everything is great, except I just think it's just missing that fun aspect of Star Wars.
Well,
And
I mean,
that's where
you,
it comes off as a little dull, and it just seems like they're talking.
last week I think you said, oh, I just what are you gonna have? You're gonna have this guy, this gangster come in, and they're gonna have this awkward scene, and then you're gonna like, and it's exactly what happened, right? And it was
Right.
this awkward scene. I think it was a fantastic scene, but
It was.
but it's like, it's an awkward, what, maybe 3 minutes of the episode.
Right.
And then you're going to get another awkward 3 minutes of the episode to move Mon Mothma's story along for the next episode. So could it move faster? Could we move this Mon Mothma? Could we have moved this meeting to 2 parties before and probably put this in at the beginning of this arc when they've had one dinner party, and at the second one he gets introduced and has this conversation with Mon Mothma at the second dinner party, as opposed to now having a separate, you know what I mean? Like, I think that would help. That could have helped. So,
Okay. The other monologue that I thought was really some of the best Star Wars, just dialogue and everything, when Luthen's giving his speech to Lonni as he's coming up the tube, right, to him, and he's basically trying to get out of the mafia, right? He's basically saying, hey, I want to wipe my hands clean of it. I've been part of it, but I'm out. I got a wife, got a daughter, all this stuff. But as we all know, Alfie, you and I,
You don't get out.
You don't get out, right? I mean, you just don't. I mean, we face it every day, brother, but you don't get out. But I thought one of his best lines, because here's Lonnie saying, what have you given up, right? And he went through just a list, right? A litany of here's what I've given up, right? I mean, and he went through it. And then I think one of my favorite lines was, I share my dreams with ghosts. And I just think that's just a really great line. But go ahead, Brayton. Looks like you've got another line there. I thought that was fantastic. Go ahead.
first I predicted everything, like, because they said, what do you give up? And I said everything. It just took him longer to get there. But the one line that I liked was, I fight for a sunshine that I'm never going to see. Or it was something to that nature.
Sunrise.
A sunrise that I'm never going to see. Like, he understands that it's a long term. He's in it for the long haul, and he's got to play the long game. And he realizes that like he may not even see it, but he's got to fight it.
He's playing for blood.
And I just want to know why he said, I've been doing this for 15 years. So at this point now, my brain goes to what the hell triggered you to do this? Like when did the Empire make you, like, what happened with the Empire? What was your backstory that made you feel this way?
Yeah.
See, now this monologue right here, Joe, because I know you've never watched Game of Thrones.
Yep.
This monologue right here was Game of Thrones worthy. This is how their dialogue in the series is all the time.
Yeah.
When they're talking, it seems like they're at war.
Okay.
So it's a good comparison to say, okay, the difference between Mon Mothma scene and then this scene. Okay, yes, Mon Mothma scene, there was a lot of dialogue and there's stuff going on, but you really didn't need to pay attention. She's talking to a gangster. He offered something. She said no, but she needs to say yes. Okay, that's the gist of it. This one, you're hanging on every word because it's the equivalent of Cassian Gunsmoke and, those guys in the prison.
Well, because he said, I'm willing to just drop those 50 people and let them die.
Right.
Just as part of the cause. I mean, I'll just lose them. That's just part of
Right.
it. And it's going to make people more angry if those 50 get killed. And it's also going to look good for you, Lonnie, to make it look like you're still doing your job for the Empire if those 50 people die.
Right.
I mean, just crazy.
Lose a pawn to protect the queen. He's playing chess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the show did a great job of making you feel like you were Lonnie and Skarsgård Luthen was talking to you, like you felt like you were standing in that elevator looking at him on that, Coruscant underground, just yelling at your ass, reaming you out, this is why we're in this fight, like you need to freaking get your stuff together and keep your head down and keep going. It's not easy. It's not fun. It's going to be terrible, but we're in this and this is the reason why. And don't forget it, basically. And yeah, I don't know if it's just because I look like that guy or what, but I was a little intimidated during that scene. Like Alfie said, like you're hanging on every word there. So,
well, not only are you not going to get out of helping and being part of this rebellion, you can't leave the Empire either.
Mm-mm.
Like if you try to retire from the Empire, what the hell are you going to do? They're going to keep watch on you. You're going to screw up at some point. Like, so Lonnie is just stuck, right? Until you can make a change. He sees both sides. He sees the Empire for what it was because he did pledge the allegiance, but now he just wants to cut bait and cut all ties with everything. And Luthen's like, well, you can't cut us because we need you. And they're going to know that something's up if you leave, and they're going to start watching you, and they're going to figure you out, and you're not going to be surviving if that happens either. Yeah. So you got to keep on keeping on to make sure that you survive.
What a tough way to live, having that on both sides of you like that. It reminds me of City Slickers. She's got one ball, he's got the other. Oh, just, you guys remember that scene? Do not call Mr. Levine. Call Mr. Levine.
Leave it up to you to bring up a 35-year-old movie.
If hate were people, I'd be China. Sorry, I just had to do that line from that movie. Oh man, I'm sorry.
I think Lonnie's getting gun smoked before the season ends.
Really?
That's a call. I think he's getting gun smoked, unless he is that guy who runs to Mon Mothma in Rogue One with the mustache. I don't know.
See, I'm feeling like Luthen's gonna figure it out because this guy's thrown everything he can in for Luthen. He's gonna figure out a way to make it look like he's dead and end up with the rebellion. That's my thought. And Alfie's shaking his head already.
He's gonna crack under the pressure. He'll get gun smoked, but he'll do it himself.
I bet you Deborah's gonna turn him. Deborah's gonna be the one that turns him. And so I was listening to last week's podcast, and I have a bone to pick about this slap face Cyril, which we didn't get any of him to this week.
None.
Which is
great. So that means we get another long, awkward scene with those two next episode.
Cyril, eat your cereal. We gotta talk to your uncle, Cyril.
Man, his mom's got to get gun smoked.
So here's the deal. I was not. I think I'm opposite of you guys. I don't think that there's going to be any of this this weird kinky awkwardness that goes on. I honestly think she's done with him. I honestly think that she would have him arrested if she sees him again. I was under the impression prior to the episode where she pulled him in and interrogated him, that when she interrogated him and he gave that details, that she would be like, all right, you might be worth something and you can join my team. But she said, no, screw you. Go back to your own lowly job because you're a piece of poo.
Slow down there, Speed Racer. We still got 2 episodes left. You're jumping way ahead. Can't move the story that fast.
I mean, if Cassian Andor has taught us anything, we can't move that fast. Working on your impressions over there, Lonnie. Nice job. So
I thought I was muted.
No.
I do not see that happening. I think she's legit done with him. I think that she has none of that in her mind. Now, do I think there could be Cassidy Randor, a parody made in a nature where that would become a plot point for that movie that only adults can watch? Possibly. But I don't believe or see that as happening in this show. Like, I just don't see that happening. I think she's done with him. I personally think she's done.
I personally don't think that Tony Gilroy is that mean of a person to make us sit through this with those two for this long and it not go anywhere.
Wow.
She likes the way he tailors his pants. You know, she's like, oh, it looks like you got those taken in a little bit. I kind of don't care that he's stalking me. I can smell a little cereal on his breath.
I think we try to ship everything. I think that the world has become shippers, and everybody wants to ship everybody. They want to ship Mon Mothma and the banker. Like, there are people that want to ship every male female role in every movie, and it doesn't have to be
not male female.
Well, no, I mean, right? There's female, there's male. People wanted to ship Poe and Finn.
Yeah,
they're people want to people want to see relationships in these things, and they get mad when they don't see them. But I don't think there's going to be a relationship between these two.
That's fine if there's not a relationship. That's totally fine. But for God's sakes, there should be a point to those two repeatedly having these scenes together. Because if not, then why is Cyril still on the show?
Yeah. Well, he wasn't on this episode, so we don't know if he's going to be back.
That's because
he's been on every episode up till this one.
That's because episode 11 is going to be a Cyril-based.
Oh, that'd be so amazing. So many slaps in his face. Oh, that'd be so great.
Don't you feel kind of bad for, what is her name, Cinta? How long has she been on Ferrix? Like, months?
Just sitting there.
Yeah, but it okay, so
watching that house all day long.
Yeah. And that's all they showed this episode. They showed like her watching the house, and then they panned to a stormtrooper, and that's all we got.
Yeah.
Well, the undercover Imperial officer that was watching her.
That's because that's where they're going back. They're going back. He's going to try to get his mom.
He's got to get Bix. He's got to get Bix out.
Got to get the droid. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you think and I forget her name at this point, but do you think Andor's mom is going to Marva? Do you think she's going to be like almost sick to the point of her deathbed, because they showed that, if I'm not mistaken, in the clips before the episode, and then did they show a doctor going to see her in this episode?
That's what it was,
yeah, so
because she's refusing to take her medicine. Something like that.
So it's she's going to be the bait that leads Cassian, under these eyes. But again, in this scene, we're panning out, and it's like every time we go back to this planet, you can feel the Empire taking its grip on it more, because you can hear the comms going on. You see the stormtroopers standing on the streets now in this episode. Like, I don't know, that's always been, and not to go too long on a mini rant here, but I'm in a Discord with Jake James Lugo, the big group on there, and I was telling him today because he is 100% on the exact same boat as Alfie on this show. If not, he might even be a bit more out on it. I was saying I think this show is trying to progressively show you of people living normal lives and how much the Empire became a part of their lives. That's why maybe it doesn't feel as much as Star Wars in the beginning. And maybe I'm giving them too much credit with this, but to me, it's almost like, yeah, here's a group of guys who are just working at the scrapyard every day. They know the Empire's out there, but like it's never really totally affected their lives. They just want to put their head down, do their job, go ahead, whatever. And it's like, as every episode goes on, you just start seeing more and more presence of the Empire on this tiny random ass planet, just because that's how much they care about anyone who stands up to them. And it's getting to this buildup of like, we'll kill all of you. We don't care at that point, And that's what I think this show is doing, at least for me. Like maybe I'm giving them too much credit for that, but I just feel a buildup over each episode.
I like that part of the show. Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Agreed. Something we've been wanting for years to say, it didn't just flip a switch. How did it transpire from being clones and the Emperor to the Empire and stormtroopers and slowly but surely getting that grasp around the galaxy, right? So
all because Slapface didn't listen to his supervisor.
Yep.
And Deborah, we still have not seen her walking with the dark troopers. Are they dark? No, they're not dark troopers. They're death troopers.
Yeah.
I knew it was one of the two. So we have not seen that image of her walking down the street with the death troopers behind her. And obviously it's going to come in the next two episodes. And it probably is going to come because Cassian Andor is going back to see his mom.
Cassian Andor.
Cassian Andor.
By the way, he's a fantastic, like, Circus and Skarsgård and Luna are probably my favorite actors in this series. Like, I really enjoy what they're doing with their characters.
I agree. Fellas, go around the room, round table. How you want to close it up? What do you got? Any points we didn't hit? Anything you want to get before we shut down episode 179 of Rule the Galaxy?
Oh, I'll go.
Okay,
I wrote some notes down at certain points. I didn't hear anybody saying anything. I actually wanted to say two things. One, I saw Padme's hat in the Luthen's place.
Good job. I didn't bring that up because I wanted to see if somebody else was.
I thought I saw it. I was like, that looks like Padme's thing. And then, as I said, I watched that guy's YouTube where he translated that conversation. And then he was just like, that's Padme's hat right there. And I'm just like, yes, I thought I saw it. Because every time they're in that freaking museum, my eyes are wandering everywhere.
Which hat was it?
It was
episode 2. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was the episode 2 one where it's pretty much just like flat on her forehead and just like regular. I don't know how you would describe
where they're
it.
Traveling as pilgrims back to Naboo.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also to play off of last week's episode with you guys talking about lightsaber colors, mine would be orange.
Okay.
I don't know if an orange saber hilt exists because I heard you guys with Jack Harvey talking about what color would your lightsaber be and why Rey's was yellow, which I thought that was an excellent conversation. And I laughed my ass off when I thought the episode was over. And then I heard Alfie chime in and I was just like, oh, they're extending this. They're extending this right now. Alfie's going to talk about the meaning of it. I was enjoying it. That's why I love our podcast, because a week that I'm really not on, I can listen to it on the way home and enjoy it just as much. So I would be orange just because I'm a ginger.
Okay.
And
I don't know if orange does exist.
I'll be the first one then.
It's in Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes. Cal Kestis has orange, right?
A DLC.
Did I steal your thunder on that one?
Right. But I don't know if that is considered canon, since it would be an unlockable feature after you beat the game.
No, I was able to get orange before I beat the game, because I only played about 2/3 and mine was orange.
but I think they released that after the game had been out for a while.
Oh, I can guarantee because I didn't get it until COVID. Like my wife let me buy my Xbox.
I
During
could be
COVID.
wrong, but I think when the game first came out, you had to beat the game first to get the orange one, and then they released it afterwards.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I know
mean,
that
I don't know if that's considered canon or not.
I know the
Okay.
game is considered canon, and I know that I used an orange lightsaber without having to unlock crap. So,
Yep.
Okay.
so that's
I've
how
always-
I knew that it was.
Yeah. I've always loved lightsaber color conversation because I loved Mace Windu when I was a kid, because I hardly paid attention to anything that I realized that his storyline had as an adult. You know, I just loved that he had a purple lightsaber.
Sure.
You know, I played Star Wars Episode 1 Power Battles for PlayStation 1. Plo Koon was in that game, and he had a yellow lightsaber. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I loved Plo Koon before he was essentially ever anything to Star Wars. He was just a character you could play in that game. So, yeah, I love the lightsaber color talk. So, yeah, I'd go orange. Sorry to
No,
drag
you're
it
good.
out more.
So to bring that up, you talk about lightsaber color, and you forget to ask him the most important lightsaber question.
You know, it was a really tight fitting night. We were.
No, that was you started that question about 2/3 of the way into the show. There
But
was
I had
plenty of time to ask that question.
I had a list
Joseph.
prepared, and okay, you can guarantee I'll have that answer for you by next week.
Well, a Dooku stock is high right now too. You know, Rule the Galaxy bought low on Dooku. You know,
I mean, I was waiting for it. Like you started talking about Jedi lightsaber color, and I thought, well, of course, the next logical follow-up to that conversation is which hilt would you use, because that's our running shtick for somebody who comes on the first time.
I will fix that error.
Terrible.
I know.
Terrible. I just had since you brought it up, DDoc, I thought I thought it triggered that memory that I was like, come on.
Brent, besides belittling me for my errors, is there anything?
It was a great episode.
Other than just being sarcastically angry at you. No, while I do understand the pacing of it, the coworkers that I have, I'm enjoying. They come in and they know that I'm a Star Wars person. Like, he knew that one of my coworkers knew that I watched it on Wednesday. He's like, "Don't talk to me." And then like this morning he was like, "It was a really good episode." And somebody else was standing next and was like, we couldn't say much, but I was like, so the fact that they come and we have the conversations and we get into basically the same arguments that we have on the podcast. And when he makes a point that I've heard on you guys say, I just kind of chuckle to myself and I'm like, yeah, I mean, that is pretty much exactly what we just talked about. So it is resonating with a lot of fans, and a lot of fans that I know. A lot of fans I know are watching it thinking it's good Star Wars. It's just there's not a lot of that internet chatter about it.
Yeah.
It like a lot of the people that like it really like it, and the people that don't are tuned out. Like you said, Jake James Lugo, not a huge fan of the show. I mean, he wasn't really a huge fan of Obi-Wan and Boba Fett either. But yeah, I feel like the people that are into it are really into it, but they also don't share a lot of it on social media. And I'm hoping that that's just because they're so sick of the other stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing Mandalorian, when it comes out, it's going to have 1,000 people posting and trying to do spoilers just because of the nature of the show.
100%. 100%. Well, cool. Alfie, how about you?
Like I said, I think this was by far the best episode. And on thinking about it, this Joe to me is the opposite of the Book of Boba Fett. I didn't really care for a lot of the content, but that show paid off with a lot of fun, especially the end with the Mando Bros and all that. Where this shows, I love so much about this show, but it's just missing that fun Star Wars to me. I think it just needs just a little more pizzazz to it, and it would be a lot better received.
I think one of the basis of Star Wars started way back in the original trilogy when you had great one-liners by people like Han Solo. He had the great one-liners of the original trilogy. Ewan McGregor and Obi-Wan had the great one-liners of the prequels. Finn had some good lines.
What?
Oh,
Finn
I
only
guess.
said Ray.
They had a couple.
He did have some good ones.
Droid, please. But there were some. I think it's a key element of Star Wars. People don't talk about it enough. So Alfie, I agree with you. It's a key element that probably is missing. You probably need that little bit of a
Look,
side glance, kind of a silly thing. Yeah.
this episode ended with such drama and tension, or let's just say the prison break ended with such drama and tension, with the hangar bay and the drop and the swim and and Nico can't swim and all that, and it was great. It was phenomenally done. But if they would have escaped in TIE fighters and there were explosions and zipping in and out, it would be all over the internet and everybody be talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want that for this show, but this show needs something like that.
Okay.
A2SO.
They said he's not going to be in it. This was way back.
He's got to be. If this is leading up to Rogue One, he's got season 2.
They tell you lots of things, Brent.
Yes, they do.
I mean, they tell you movies are going to happen and they don't happen,
right?
Because of Hollywood.
As Alfie's saying that, I'm thinking about Rogue One and why it has that Star Wars feel, and K2 delivers so many of those lines that make you laugh in it, as all this serious stuff is happening.
Cheer it in K2. Yep.
Cheer was amazing. He's my boy.
Yep. So hey guys, I'm cutting it short. We had a good run at it tonight. Chapter 179 of Rule the Galaxy. I had a lot of fun. And besides going through all the spiel, look for Rule the Galaxy pretty much everywhere you can look for it. Add either an SW or a podcast next to it, and you'll find us somewhere. These guys are great. That's why I do this, is because they're so much fun. And we could be out at the bars, chasing women, all that kind of stuff right now. But you know what we're doing? We're bringing Star Wars content and having fun. That's what we do. That's what we do. Football and crab cakes, damn it. That's what Maryland does. Anyway, it's been a blast. It's been a pleasure. Until next week, may the Force be with you.